Hello students, this is the second video from the chapter Ecosystem and Energy Flow. This is Dr. Utkarsha Thakre from Vidyapratishthan's Arts, Commerce and Science College, Vidyanagari, Baramati. In this second video from this chapter Ecosystem and Energy Flow, we'll see the decomposition, energy flow and topic levels. Let us start with the begin with the first slide, decomposition. Now, decomposition, what do you understand by decomposition? Before understanding decomposition, what you have to understand, what are the decomposers? What is decomposer? What do you understand by decomposer? The organisms, one who decomposes is a decomposer. Okay, the organisms or individuals who break down the complex organic matter into a substance like carbohydrates, like water, simple substances like carbohydrates, H2O, and nutrients, etc. They are called as decomposers. So decomposers are the individuals which are responsible for breakdown of complex organic matter into simple inorganic substances. That what happens during the just opposite to the photosynthesis, the process it occurs. And such individuals are called as decomposers. And the process of decomposition is known, the process carried out by these decomposers is called as decomposition. So decomposition is a process where some certain individuals break down the complex organic matter into simple inorganic forms like CO2, H2, and nutrient. The process is called as decomposition. Now, in case of decomposition, in this process, the dead remains of plants, animals, even the feces, all together they are broken down, they are decomposed, and all these contents are together known as detritus. So this is the important term used during the process of decomposition. You may be asked, define detritus, or what do you understand by detritus? What is the meaning of detritus? The dead remains of the plants, animals, and the fecal masses together referred as detritus. And the detritus, it is decomposed by some certain organisms. त्याला तुम्ही मराठीमध्ये सॅप्रोफाइट्स असं म्हणतात की शवोपजीवी किंवा मृतोपजीवी, मृत अवशेषांवर जगणारे प्लांट्स आणि अॅनिमल्सच्या मृत अवशेषांवर जगणारे जे आहेत त्यांना आपण काय म्हणतो? We call them as saprophytes. These saprophytes are the detritivores. So detritivores are the organisms which act upon these dead and decaying remains of the plants and animals, including the feces. They are the detritivores. One more concept is there, that is of litter. What do you understand by litter? Litter is that matter which is which comprises the freshly fallen leaves, branches of trees, freshly fallen flowers, fruits, etc. That forms the litter in the forest. Now, the important steps which are involved in the process of decomposition are fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. These are the 5 important steps which are involved in the process of decomposition. Now, why they are important? They are important from the point of view of your theory exams as well as for your competitive exams. 1 mark questions are mostly framed on these definitions of fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. So it is very important or significant to understand the meanings of these terms, fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, and humidification, and to know the definitions of these terms. Now, what is meant by fragmentation? The process where the substance or material is broken down into fragments, that is simply known as fragmentation. Breaking into fragments is fragmentation. Okay. So what is broken into fragments? Actually, the detritus is broken into fragments by the detritivores like earthworm. The detritivores like earthworm break the detritus into smaller fragments. The process is called as fragmentation. Okay, you understood what is meant by fragmentation. Now, next one is leaching. Leaching is a process where the water-soluble inorganic nutrients, nutrients they percolate and go down into the soil, and there they are they stable as a salt. So water-soluble inorganic nutrients which go down into the soil, they percolate down to the soil horizon and get precipitated as a unavailable salt. Those insoluble or inorganic nutrients are that process is referred as leaching. Leaching is a process by means of which the water soluble inorganic nutrients, they go down, they percolates into the soil horizon and made available, which are precipitated as unavailable salt. That is referred as leaching. So leaching is simply is a process in which the water soluble inorganic nutrients percolates into soil horizon. So that is leaching. So let us switch on to the next slide. Before that, we'll take a pointer. Now, next slide. We'll continue the remaining three processes involved in the process of decomposition, and the third process is catabolism. Catabolism is a process where the microbes like bacteria, like and fungi, they enzymes produced by these bacteria and fungi, they degrade the detritus into more simpler inorganic substances. The process is called as catabolism. So catabolism is a process where bacteria, fungi, or the enzymes produced by bacteria and fungi, they act upon the detritus and convert into inorganic substances. This process is called as catabolism. Now, here one important thing that you have to keep in mind is that the first three processes involved in the decomposition, which are they are fragmentation, leaching, and catabolism. They occur simultaneously at a time. When the detritus undergo decomposition at a time, the fragmentation, leaching, and catabolism occurs. It occurs simultaneously. एकीकडे the detritive force like earthworms, they act upon the detritus and break into fragments. Secondly, at the same time, the inorganic nutrients, water-soluble inorganic nutrients, they percolates into the soil horizon. And at the same time, the microbes like fungi or enzymes produced by the microbes like fungi, bacteria, etc., they act upon the detritus and convert into the more simpler inorganic substances. So all these three processes occur simultaneously during the decomposition process. Thereafter, the remaining two steps, that is the humidification and mineralization. So during humidification and mineralization, uh, these two processes occur within the soil when the detritus is now converted into more simpler inorganic substances mixed into the soil, and here in the soil the humidification and mineralization occur. Now, what is humidification? To understand humidification, first of all, you have to understand what is humus. Humus is nothing but partially decomposed, dark colored, amorphous colloidal material. This dark colored amorphous colloidal substance or organic substance is known as humus. And the process of formation of this dark colored amorphous colloidal organic substance by the activity of some microbes is known as humidification. By humidification, the detritus converts into a dark colored amorphous colloidal organic substance, and it is rich in nutrients. Now, this humus is resistant to microbes because microbes are acting upon it and converting it into the simpler colloidal organic substance. And it undergoes decomposition at a very slow rate. Humidificationचा rate, humidification मध्ये, the rate of action on the detritus is very slow. The rate of action is slow during the humidification. Now, what is the significance of humus when it gets mixed into the soil? The humus changes the texture of soil. जमिनीचा पोत बदलून टाकतं humus. It increases the soil water holding capacity, makes the soil porous. Soil ला porous बनवतं. Soil ची water holding capacity, पाणी धरून ठेवण्याची जी क्षमता आहे ती वाढली जाते आणि इनऑल सॉइलचा पोत सुधारतो. सो ह्युमस इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर चेंजिंग द सॉइल टेक्स्चर पॉझिटिव्हली. It also increases the water holding capacity of the soil, and therefore presence of humus in the soil improves the soil texture. Being colloidal in nature, it also serves as a storage or reservoir of nutrients. Okay, so this is about humus and humidification, which is very important process in the decomposition. The next process is mineralization. During mineralization, what happens? The humus which is formed, it is lastly, ultimately, it is further decomposed or degraded by some certain microbes. The process of degradation of humus by the activity of some certain microbes, it is known as mineralization. During mineralization, the humus, it is further broken down and it is converted into the finely formed inorganic nutrients, which then mix into the soil and makes the soil rich in nutrients. So mineralization is a process where some certain microbes act upon the humus and convert it into the nutrient-rich inorganic material. So conversion of the humus into inorganic rich nutrients, it is known as mineralization. So this is about mineralization. Let us switch on to the next slide. Here we have finished or completed with the process of decomposition. Now we'll see the next step, which is the important process which occurs during the in the ecosystem. आतापर्यंत आपण दोन प्रोसेसेस पाहिल्या ज्या इकोसिस्टीम मधनं घडून येतात. Which are they? The two steps are one is productivity, second is decomposition. The next is actually the energy flow. Before that, we'll see the what is the need of decomposition, what is required for the successful decomposition process. So decomposition requires oxygen. What for the oxygen is required? Oxygen is required for the healthy growth of microbes present in the soil, which act upon the detritus. Detritus for जे microbes आपली action दाखवतात and they convert into simple organic and inorganic form. Convert the organic forms into simple inorganic forms. So for their growth and development, oxygen is must. So oxygen is required. Secondly, the temperature plays a key role. The temperature range about 20 to 40 degrees. Temperature range of 20 to 40 degrees is supports the process of decomposition. The temperature which exceed 40 degrees or if it is less than 20 degrees does not support the process of decomposition and the rate of decomposition slows down. Secondly, the soil moisture plays a key role. The soil need to be moist. In the dry soil, decomposition does not occur. And the pH of soil also matters. The soil with basic pH supports the decomposition. In the soil with basic pH, the decomposition rate of decomposition is high, while the soil with acidic pH slows down the rate of decomposition. So in this way, these many factors, the oxygen supply, then the oxygen presence in the soil, then the temperature, the soil moisture content, then the pH of the soil, all these factors, they regulate the decomposition indirectly. How? By helping the soil microbes. All these factors, they help the microbes to grow luxuriantly. And if one or the other factor is lacking or it show the it does not support the decomposition, that means the microbes, they cannot grow luxuriantly. Now which condition supports warm and moist environment favors the decomposition process? And if on the contrary, the temperature is very low, for example, winter season, and the conditions are anaerobic, then it does not support decomposition. Decomposition is inhibited or the rate of decomposition slows down. Now we'll see the decomposition cycle in short. Here in the diagram, you can see the basic trophic level or basic component of the ecosystem is the producers. They are the green photosynthetic plants. Now these green photosynthetic plants, they shade off the leaves, the flowers, fruit at maturity. That you know well, when the plants, the leaves they mature, they automatically fall down. When the flowers get after pollination, the flower parts they get they fall on the substratum. Even the branches, by some natural calamities, they fall on the substratum. So these freshly fallen leaves, branches, flowers, fruits, etc., they forms the litter. And when they fall on the substratum, either they decompose this certain microbes, fungi, then mm, you say for example the detritivores, that is earthworm, like such organism, they act upon it, or some caterpillars on from the herbs, they try to feed on that, they try to eat that. Like this is the caterpillar um, eating the leaf. So either they are eaten up by the caterpillars or some insects, or they simply decompose by the decomposers like bacteria and fungi. If they are eaten up by the caterpillar, they are not completely eaten up. They once again they decompose into the soil. Then by the leaching process, their nutrients they leach down or they percolate into the soil. The soil becomes rich in organic nutrients. If this does not occur, and later it get completely decomposed by the activity of fungi, some mycelia of the fungi or some certain bacteria, soil bacteria, or enzyme produced by the bacteria, they the later it decompose. You can see here the fruiting bodies of the fungi which is growing on the litter. Now the decomposed litter, then it is further degraded by the organisms or the individuals like the earthworm. That's why we call earthworm as a friend of farmer, because it carries the decomposition of litter and convert it into the simple inorganic substances, and which mineralizes. It also helps in the fragmentation of this um, litter. So litter is fragmented by the organisms like the earthworm, and ultimately after completion of the leaching process and mineralization, the soil become rich in nutrient, and such a nutrient rich soil is made available for the plants. So these nutrients present in the soil, they are used up by the plants. The plants they grow luxuriantly. Once again the cycle is repeated, and they shade the plant parts in the form of litter, and the process is repeated. This is a decomposition cycle, and the decomposition cycle involve all the 5 steps need to occur there that we have seen in the earlier slide, that is fragmentation. Second is, which one is second? That is leaching. Then third one is uh, mineralization, humidification, and the last one is mineralization, humidification, and catabolism. One more was left, was catabolism. So the processes were fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, then fragmentation and mineralization. All these processes need to occur during the decomposition cycle. Okay, let us switch to the next slide. That is the third step which need to occur in the ecosystem. आता पण आपण दोन steps बघितल्या. कुठल्या बघितल्या? One is productivity. Second, we have seen the decomposition. The third process which need to occur in the ecosystem, it is a energy flow. Now, energy flow is always unidirectional, and which is a source of energy for whole living world. The source of energy is sun. Sun is the only source of energy for the ecosystem on Earth. Exceptionally, the deep sea, the deep sea ecosystem does. Sun cannot provide energy to the deep sea ecosystem. Why? Because the solar radiation cannot reach deep down to the sea. So deep sea पर्यंत solar radiations पोहोचू शकत नाहीत, आणि म्हणून only just in case of a deep sea ecosystem, the So, solar energy is not the source of energy. Otherwise, the whole living world has the sole source of energy. एक आणि एकच solar energyचा source आहे, तो म्हणजे solar energy. The energy coming from sun in the form of radiation, solar radiations. Now, out of this, the solar energy comes to Earth in the form of solar radiation. These incident solar radiations are less than 50%. जितके सोलार रेडिएशन जमिनीपर्यंत किंवा अर्थपर्यंत पोहोचतात त्यापैकी फक्त 50% सोलार रेडिएशन्स हे फोटोसिंथेटिकली ऍक्टिव्ह रेडिएशन्स असतात. The total, whatever the total number of solar radiations reaching to the earth, out of that, less than 50% are photosynthetically active radiations, means which are used for the photosynthesis, which are converted into the chemical energy by the green photosynthetic organism, that is autotrophs. So photosynthetically active radiations किती टक्के असतात, तर less than 50% radiations are photosynthetically active radiations. They are abbreviated as PAR radiations. PAR, PAR, that is photosynthetically active radiations. Now, out of this less than 50% photosynthetically active radiations, only 2 to 10% of radiations they are used by autotrophs. या 50% पेक्षाही कमी हे फोटोसिंथेटिकली ऍक्टिव्ह रेडिएशन्स असतात आणि त्याच्यामधले सुद्धा फक्त 2 ते 10% रेडिएशन्सच ग्रीन फोटोसिंथेटिक प्लांट्स वापरतात. कशा करता? फॉर इट्स कन्वर्शन इनटू द केमिकल एनर्जी. सो this is important. That's why I have highlighted here. This figure is important. Here a question can be framed. MCQ even can be framed. So that how much percent of photosynthetically active radiations are used by the photoautotrophs or by the autotrophs or by the producers. So the amount is 2 to 10% only. They are used up by the autotroph for conversion of solar energy into the chemical energy in the form of food, that is carbohydrates. And in this way, the plants, they capture just 10 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiation and convert into the chemical energy. This means that only this 2 to 10% of energy is enough, or it is responsible to sustain the whole living world. ह्या अख्ख्या सजीव सृष्टीला जिवंत ठेवण्याकरता, त्याचं अस्तित्व टिकवून ठेवण्याकरता फक्त हे 2 ते 10% फोटोसिंथेटिकली ऍक्टिव्ह रेडिएशन्स पुरेसे असतात किंवा they are responsible. Only 2 to 10% of photosynthetically active radiations are enough, or they are responsible to sustain the energy for the entire living world. Therefore, now it is very important to know that how the solar energy is trapped by the green plants, and how from the green plants the trapped solar energy is transferred to the individuals of different trophic level. वेगवेगळ्या ट्रॉपिक लेवलच्या इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स पर्यंत ही एनर्जी कशा प्रकारे ट्रान्सफर होते. The energy source of energy is sun. From the sun, the energy is transferred to the plants. Plants, they convert the solar energy into the chemical energy, fix into the carbohydrates. From when the animals, that means the herbivores, when they eat the plants, व्हेजिटेरियन्स म्हणून आपण आपल्या भाषेमध्ये, when they eat the plants, the energy from the plant is transferred to the herbivores. When the herbivores are eaten up by the carnivores, the energy from the herbivores is transferred to the carnivores. Means the solar energy is transferred from sun to green plants, from green plants to herbivores, from herbivores to carnivores of first level, then carnivores of second levels, primary consumers and secondary consumers. अशा प्रकारे ही एनर्जी ट्रान्सफर होते. ती कशी ट्रान्सफर होते? हाऊ द एनर्जी इज ट्रान्सफर फ्रॉम वन लेवल टू द अदर लेवल, that is important to see. Now, when we'll see the energy transfer, you will find that this energy transfer, whether it is direct or indirect, directly when the plants feed on the plants, they are the direct consumers, that is herbivores. When the herbivores are eaten up by the carnivores, carnivores are now indirectly depending on the plants, that is the producers. So directly or indirectly, we depend on producers or autotrophs for our food. आपल्या अन्नाकरता प्रत्येक लिव्हिंग बिंग may be a herbivore, may be a primary consumer, or maybe a secondary consumer. That means the primary carnivores or secondary carnivores. कुठल्याही लेवलमध्ये जाणारे इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स असतील तर ते डायरेक्टली किंवा इनडायरेक्टली कोणावर डिपेंडंट आहेत अन्नाकरता. दे डिपेंड ऑन द plants or depend on the producers. Producers means the plants. Plants, green photosynthetic organisms are the producers of the ecosystem. So they depend on the producers for their food. And this energy flow is unidirectional. एका डायरेक्शन मध्ये होतो. It is not cycled. That how, say for example, sun is the main source of energy. From sun, the energy is transferred to producers. From producers, the energy is transferred to consumers. The consumers may be the herbivores, may be the primary carnivores or the secondary carnivores, or even the omnivores. So in this way, in one direction, the energy flow occurs from sun to producers and producers to consumers of different level. Okay. Now the energy can be used only once in an ecosystem, and therefore there should be constant supply of energy to the autotrophs or to the producers. Producers needs solar energy constantly so that the solar energy can be converted into the chemical energy. So the producers need, or autotrophs need, a constant supply of energy from sun. Now autotrophs, they are called as producers. Now till now you might have understood that the autotrophs are known as the producers. Now in terrestrial ecosystem, the main producers or major producers are the green plants. Green photosynthetic plants may be herbs, maybe shrubs or woody trees. They are the major producers of the terrestrial ecosystem. If you think of the aquatic ecosystem, in the aquatic ecosystem, the phytoplanktons, that is the algae and green photosynthetic organisms, which are chlorophyllus, they are called as phytoplanktons. They are the major constituents or major producers in the aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so the major producers in terrestrial ecosystem are the photosynthetic plants. They may be the herbivores. They may be the herbivorous plants, or maybe shrubs. They may be woody trees. And of that of aquatic ecosystem, they are phytoplanktons or the algae. Let us switch to the next slide. Now, in the previous slide, we have seen about the producers. Now, producers are the organisms which are responsible for conversion of solar energy into chemical energy, and they provide food to all living world. And those who directly or indirectly depend on the producers for food are called as consumers or heterotrophs. In this slide, we will see the consumers. The consumers as the one of the trophic level of the ecosystem. इकोसिस्टमच्या ट्रॉपिक लेवल मधली इम्पॉर्टंट ट्रॉपिक लेवल जे तयार करतात ते म्हणजे consumers of different levels. That the consumers we will see in this slide. Now, what are consumers? All those organisms which directly or indirectly depend on the autotrophs or the producers for their food. They are called as heterotrophs or consumers. Now the consumers are of three types: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Primary, what do you understand by primary consumers? The individuals which directly feed on the plants, that is the autotrophs. They are called as primary consumers. We call them as herbivores. त्यांना आपण काय म्हणतो? Herbivores. So herbivores are the primary consumers. Now, these primary consumers, that is herbivores, they are eaten up by the flesh-eating animals. So they are called as secondary consumers. So what are secondary consumers? The organisms which feed on the herbivores are called as secondary consumers. They are called as the secondary consumers. So primary consumers are the organisms which feed on the plants directly. The organisms which feed on the plant directly are called as herbivores or primary consumers. And the organisms which feed on the herbivores are called as secondary consumers. For example, the secondary consumers are the birds, wolves, etc. They are the secondary consumers. Now, the secondary consumers are also in turn eaten by the higher level of organisms. They are called as a tertiary consumer. त्याला तुम्ही हिंस्त्र प्राणी असं म्हणतो. So they are the tertiary consumers. Examples are they are also called as primary carnivores. Secondary carnivores. So secondary carnivores are eaten up by the primary carnivores. And what are primary carnivores? Primary carnivores are the organisms which feed on the herbivores. So herbivores are eaten up by the primary carnivores, and primary carnivores are eaten up by the secondary carnivores. Secondary carnivores are called as tertiary consumers, and they forms the different trophic levels. They form the different trophic levels. So what are trophic levels? सगळ्यात पहिला ट्रॉपिक लेवल हा शब्द आला म्हणजे तुम्हाला ट्रॉपिक लेवल म्हणजे काय हे सगळ्यात पहिल्यांदा कळलं पाहिजे की नाही. सो व्हॉट आर ट्रॉपिक लेवल? ट्रॉपिक लेवल इट इज द प्लेस ऑफ एन ऑर्गॅनिझम इन अ फूड चेन. एखाद्या फूड चेन मध्ये एखाद्या ऑर्गॅनिझमचं काय प्लेस आहे, दॅट डिटरमाइन द ट्रॉपिक लेवल ऑफ द ऑर्गॅनिझम. से फॉर एक्झाम्पल, the producers, it is a basic level. They provide the food for a whole living world. So the producers forms the first place, and they are said to be at the first trophic level. All examples are all photosynthetic organisms. They form the first trophic level, that is the producers. Photoautotrophs, green photosynthetic organism, maybe plants or some animals are also there which are green photosynthetic. For example, Euglena is a green photosynthetic organism. Okay, then the second trophic level is a primary consumer. Primary consumer is a second trophic level. It include the zooplankton, that is grasshopper, and the cows. They are included in the primary consumers. The third trophic level is the secondary consumer, which feed on the primary consumer. They are birds, fishes, wolf. They form the third trophic level. And the fourth trophic level is of tertiary consumer. What are the tertiary consumers? The tertiary consumers are the organisms which feed on the secondary consumers. What are the examples? They are man, lion, etc. We can call them as even the man and sparrows. They are actually the omnivores. They are not typically the carnivores. Therefore, it is said that the food chain may consist of 4 to 5 trophic level. Here, how many trophic level we have seen? 1, 2, 3 and 4. फक्त 4 ट्रॉपिक लेवल आपल्याला ट्रॉपिक लेवल्स मध्ये दिसतात. पण इथे काय म्हटलंय मी स्लाइड मध्ये की 4 किंवा 5 ही ट्रॉपिक लेवल्स असू शकतात. तर 5 ट्रॉपिक लेवल कुठल्या? तर समटाइम्स द प्रोड्युसर्स आर द ऑटोट्रॉप्स, ते प्रोड्युसर्स झाले. आणि दुसरे म्हणजे हर्बीहोर्स, ते झाले सेकंड ट्रॉपिक लेवल. तिसरे हर्बीहोर्सला खाणारे ते म्हणजे कार्निव्होर्स. And some organisms are there which feed on the herbs as well as on the flesh of the organism. For example, sparrows दाणे पण टिपतात आणि ते डेड ऑर्गॅनिझम प्लांटचे अॅनिमल्सचे असतील तर ते पण ते खातात. किंवा ह्युमन बिंग, बेस्ट एक्झाम्पल इज ऑफ ह्युमन बिंग. वी आर vegetarian as well as non-vegetarians, means we are omnivores. So that is one more level, omnivores. If omnivore is added in between herbivores and carnivores, that is the 5th level. Okay, so that's why it is said that the food chains may consist of 4 to 5 trophic level. And what do you understand by trophic level? The specific place of an individual in a food chain, that is called as a trophic level. There are 4 basic trophic level as primary producers, then primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. And you can cite the example producers. No doubt they are green plant, the photosynthetic plants. Consumers, all herbivores which feed on the plant, and consumers which feed on the herbivores, and tertiary consumer which feed on the secondary consumers. Okay, so this is about the different trophic levels. Here we understood the trophic levels and the concept of consumers and the examples of different consumers as herbivores, carnivores, primary consumers, secondary consumers. Okay. Now we'll switch to the different types of food chain. There are actually the food chain in details we'll see in the next lecture. One type of food chain only we'll see in this video, that is the grazing food chain. Now basically there are 3 types of food chain. Food chain is always straight. That is one more important thing that you have to keep in mind. The food chain is not that is cycled. जशी एखादी फॉस्फरस सायकल आहे किंवा कार्बन सायकल आहे किंवा इतर कुठल्याही सायकल म्हटल्यानंतर द कंपोनंट कमिंग फ्रॉम इट्स ओरिजिन रिटर्न बॅक टू द सेम, तेव्हा ती सायकल असते. एकापासून उगम झालेली वस्तू जेव्हा तिथेच येऊन मिळते तेव्हा ती सायकल असते. पण फूड चेनला आपण त्याला फूड चेन म्हटलंय, फूड वेब म्हटलंय, त्याला सायकल म्हटलेलं नाही. सो इट इज ऑलवेज स्ट्रेट. फूड चेन्स आर ऑलवेज स्ट्रेट and it consists of 4 to 5 ट्रॉपिक लेवल. तर फूड चेन कशाच्या म्हणल्या जातात? ट्रॉपिक लेवलच्या. त्या 4 ट्रॉपिक लेवल असू शकतात त्याच्यामध्ये किंवा 5 ट्रॉपिक लेवल असू शकतात. आणि त्या नेहमी फूड चेन इज ऑलवेज स्ट्रेट. फूड चेन इज ऑलवेज स्ट्रेट. नाउ we'll start with the how many types of food chains are there? There are 3 basic types of food chain as grazing food chain, detritus food chain and parasitic food chain. For you know the meaning of grazing. चरणे ज्याला म्हणता तुम्ही मराठीमध्ये चरणे ज्या म्हणतात. तर हे चरणारे जे ऑर्गॅनिझम आहेत ते साधारणपणे हर्बिव्होर्स असतात. त्याच्यामध्ये गोट झाल्या, काऊ झाले, बफेलो झाल्या, sheeps, all these are grazing animals. So this food chain starts with the producers because the animals they graze only when there is presence of the autotrophic organisms in the form of plants. Plants astil tar grazing hoil or grazing animal will feed on the plants if there is plants, healthy growth of the plants. So this food chain starts with the plants or producers. Now the producers they are eaten up by the grazing animals. And how the chain is formed, the producers are eaten up by the grazing animals, that is herbivores, and these herbivores they later on they are eaten up by the other animals. We call them as the primary consumer, secondary consumer, ज्यांना आपण secondary consumers म्हणतो. In this way the chain is produced. Grazing chain is seen that the plants are eaten up by the herbivores. Herbivores are eaten up by the primary consumer, and primary consumers are eaten up by the secondary consumer. So basics trophic level is of producers, and second trophic level is of the herbivores, and third is of primary consumers and secondary consumers and the tertiary consumers. In this way, the chain grazing chain is produced. Now, here, when these energy, first of all, it is trapped, solar energy is trapped by the producers. The solar energy is converted into the organic food by the producers. It is eaten up by the herbivores, and herbivores are later on they are eaten up by the carnivores. Okay. Now the energy trapped by the producers is either eaten up, it is transferred to the consumers in the form of herbivore or carnivores, primary carnivores or secondary carnivores, or if it is not eaten up by the producers, that energy remains with the plants, isn't it? It will remain with the plants. So either the energy is transferred to the next level in the form of herbivores or carnivores from the plants, that is producers, or if the herbivores or grazing animal does not visit the plants, and if the energy is not transferred from the producers to the trophic level of herbivores or carnivores of different level, that is primary, secondary carnivores, secondary consumers or tertiary consumer, that energy remains there with the remains there with the plants themselves. Plants सोबतच ती एनर्जी त्या ठिकाणी राहते. And the plants ultimately, plants has a life. प्रत्येक वनस्पतीला एक जीवन असतं. 1 वर्ष 2 वर्ष, some of the seasonal plants their life cycle is of a season of 3 months 4 months. Ultimately they die. So when the producers they die, the death of the producer is the beginning of the second type of food chain, that is the detritus food chain. Because the detritus food chain begins with the activity of detritivores on the detritus. And what is detritus? The dead and decaying parts of the plants and animals. Means when the plants they die, or the animals feeding on the plants they die, the second type of food chain begins. So death of the producers begin with the second type of food chain, that is the detritus food chain, and that we'll see in the next video. Okay, I think we should stop over here. Thank you, and we'll stop here and we'll continue with the detritus food chain in the next video. Thank you.